Alright, so as you guys know, a game that Wuthering Waves is often compared to is Genshin Impact. And Genshin Impact are notoriously known for locking quality of life exploration buffs behind paywalled characters. For example, characters that can walk on water, characters that can swim, characters that can teleport or fly, etc. You guys get the point. And you guys know I'm a fair man, and I don't hold one game above the other. I will criticize all games equally if they deserve it. And if you are one of the people who criticize Genshin Impact on their predatory practices, then I feel like it is justified and reasonable to be upset at the fact that CANTARELLA has a quality of life buff built into her kit, which is her swimming feature, where she's able to swim faster and swim for longer, and the swimming consumes less stamina than it does for other characters, so you are able to stay in the water for longer periods of time. Now, some people, and I've seen Saint Tondas make a video on the fact that it's not monumental. The fact that you can swim longer with her and faster, it's not monumental with the exploration, but that's not the point. The point is this is a step in the wrong direction, and a journey begins with one step, right? A journey begins with one step. So if they're taking one step in the wrong direction, then they could go all the way into the wrong direction if you don't call it out when they're doing something wrong. And it's really interesting the way that people responded to this, right? It's really interesting, and you can tell the real and logical people who actually have a working brain, as they were like, okay, this isn't a good look for the game. But then you have people who are like, oh, it's not a big deal, it's whatever. But these are the same people, right? The people who are saying that this isn't a big deal, that CANTARELLA having this quality of life buff isn't a big deal. These are the same people who talk shit about Genshin Impact every day. And you guys know I'm not a Genshin Impact player. I'm not a Genshin Impact fan, so I have no reason to defend Genshin. And it's even weird I'm not even defending Genshin, right? I'm just saying, if you're gonna talk shit about Genshin, right, when Wuthering Waves are doing something like copying a negative that you criticize Genshin for, you should call it out straight away and not show favorites just because you play Wuthering Waves, right? Because Wuthering Waves could turn into a Genshin if they just make all the same mistakes and bad practices that Genshin made. So, like I say, if you're going to criticize Genshin for locking or paywalling characters, or paywalling quality of life buffs behind paywalled characters, then you should do the same thing for Wuthering Waves, right? And this is a L, right? I will be honest, like I've said, this is a massive L, because there's already enough FOMO in these gacha games to where they promote a character's new kit. In some games like Honkai Star Rail, you have things like power creep, or in some games which like Wuthering Waves, which like in Wuthering Waves it was for the longest time, it's just like the FOMO in Wuthering Waves wasn't necessarily the power creep. It was more so, okay, a cool new looking character came out. But the fact that they're locking, like I said, quality of life behind a paywall, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look. And if this isn't called out, the next character because I know we're getting 2 more reruns after CANTARELLA. I know we're getting a Shorekeeper and a Camellia rerun in 2.2, but in 2.3, I don't know, Zanny. Like, what are they gonna do with Zanny? Are they gonna make Zanny fly, or will she be able to ride a motorbike, or what's Zanny gonna get? Is she gonna get a quality of life buff as well to make it to where boosts your team power, but she also boosts your exploration experience? And exploration is a huge aspect. It's a huge aspect in Wuthering Waves. Like Wuthering Waves story is an aspect, I'll say that, but the biggest aspect, one of the biggest aspects to Wuthering Waves is the exploration. You guys saw my last video. If you guys saw my last video, where I talked about how to farm Astrite, I spoke about the best way in Wuthering Waves to get Astrite is exploration, and that was for a reason, right? That was for a reason. That was because they want people to explore the world, explore the design, see the world they created. They want people to appreciate that. That's why they put a lot of work. So they put a lot of work behind it and encourage people even more so to do so by saying, okay, if you do all this, you'll get, I don't know, like 200, 300 summons if you go ahead and explore the world. You know, that's why they have that system to where there's treasure chests and etc. and Astrite locked behind the exploration. So a quality of life that makes that process much more smoother, much more comfy, is something that's not great. And I've said this in the past, if you're gonna lock a character, if you're gonna lock a quality of life buff behind the character, make that character a free character, right? I've played PGR and they've been releasing free characters. They've been doing events to where they have events that give you free characters and you can max dupe those characters. Do something like that in Wuthering Waves, but the character also has a quality of life built into their kits. Something like that. For example, Zhang Liao, we got him for free. If they locked the quality of life feature behind his kit, that would have been cool. That would have been blessed. If they said something like Zhang Liao can fly or some shit where he can summon like, I don't know, a jetpack or whatever, where that he can fly or whatever, like that's cool. He's free, so no one's complaining. But the fact of locking him behind the paywall, it's like, man, you guys didn't have to do this. They're like, KURO's already in good graces with the community, and they are the #1 developers in the space. I've said this countless times. They are still the #1 developers in the space, even after doing this mistake, right? And I feel like the fact that they are the #1 developer is more of a reason people should be more vocal about this, right? People should be more vocal about this because it is a big deal. Like I said, a journey starts with one step, right? If you give an inch, people take a whole mile. And you know, people online who are calling this out, they are justified, 100% justified, because they don't want their game to be ruined. And I'll be real, people are traumatized from Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, other gacha games that hit EOS. Me myself personally, I am traumatized. I have PTSD from so many games I've played on the channel EOSing. I don't want Wuthering Waves to experience these issues. I don't want them to be, you know, seen in a negative light. I don't want them to be seen in a negative light because I do believe this is the best gacha game in the space right now. However, they shouldn't be copying the negatives. Don't copy the negatives. Copy the positives. And you guys know, like I've said, I'm a huge KURO fan. Anything KURO puts out, I'm gonna try it on the channel. However, when they mess up, I will call it out for I will call them out for messing up, right? I will call them out for messing up. And you know, there's so many people in this community that are hypocrites. So many content creators out there in this space are massive hypocrites, right? I don't even need to say names. You guys already know some of the, I've even made videos on some of the content creators in this space that are massive hypocrites when it comes to topics like this. They will swear down that Genshin Impact is predatory, that they're locking quality of life behind characters, boom, 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 bam, bam, bam. But then when KURO Games does it, they're like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's whatever. It's only swimming. Hey, be warned, guys. I've told you about content creators in this space. Listen, but take things with a grain of salt and do your own research and come to your own conclusions, because, man, this is not a good look for KURO Games right now. And I'm hoping to keep things positive. I'm hoping that they see the response and see if people are upset about this and they do not make another character have a quality of life buff into their kits. And if they do this, right, if they do say, okay, we're gonna make a character that, I don't know, can fly or whatever, at least make it a free character so the quality of life is accessible to everyone who plays your game, right? So that's all I have to say. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Do you think this was justified? Do you think it's justified for me to be upset or other players to be upset? Or do you think it's not a big deal? Let me know in the comments. Spill the tea. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more Wuthering Waves and Gacha gaming content on the channel. But until next time, take care and peace, guys.